Hey guys, MrPokke here, back with another video, and today we are gonna be going through the CN community's opinions regarding the new version 2.3 Planar as well as Cavalry relic sets, right? The 4-piece and 2-piece set. So without further ado, let's get into today's content. Subscribe! Yeah, so we have our latest relic set featuring the break set as well as the follow-up set, right? So the effect for the 4-piece Iron Cavalry against the Scourge. If you guys haven't seen Firefly's latest animated trailer, please check it out. It is absolutely cool, this one, right? So 2-piece increased break effect by 16%, the whereas break effect 150% or higher, ignores 10% of the target's defense, and if it's 250% or higher, super break ignores 15% of the target's defense, which means TLDR, if you have 250%, super break will ignore 25% of the target's defense, right? And then these new Wind-Soaring Valorous 2-piece attack 12% and 4-piece crit rate 6% and ultimate damage by 36%, lasting for 1 turn. Alright, so far, one thing to note is that the super break damage, it is only for super break, right? The 15% additional defense ignore, it is only for super break. So if you are, for example, running Boothill, or you're running Xue, or you're running any kind of other break DPS, and you're not running Harmony Trailblazer, this super break 15% defense is not gonna be able to get any benefit. Alright, you do want to run Harmony Trailblazer in order to get the full benefit of this. Otherwise, if you are going to be running Firefly, then you wouldn't really need to worry about it that much. But then again, Firefly also works really well with Harmony Trailblazer, so yeah. TLDR, just run Harmony Trailblazer, right? Then you can gain the full effect, right? So most of the time, if you're going to be running this set for your break DPS, you do want to bring up to more than 250% break effect. For now, I think from what we have gotten, like if you're going to be running break effect rope, and then you get a little bit of maybe 2 to 3 break effect rolls from all of your pieces, you should be able to quite easily get 250% break effect in battle, because Harmony Trailblazer also buffs the break effect. And if you're going to be running Runmei, she also buffs the break effect, right? So in battle, maybe you can't get 250% on the character screen, but in battle, it is not that impossible to achieve, right? So comparing this 4-piece with our 4-piece Genius and 4-piece DOT, which is our 2 other relic sets that has defense ignore, you could make the argument that this piece is a lot more niche, because the defense ignore, it is only applied to break damage, right? Your normal break damage and your super break damage, whereas your 4-piece quantum, it applies to all damage, and your 4-piece DOT, as long as they have any sort of DOT, it also applies to all damage. So when it comes to which one is more versatile, it's definitely going to be quantum followed by prisoner. Then this is going to be the most niche defense ignore set, right? That being said, this defense ignore set also has the highest value at 25% out of all 3 sets, right? So although it is more niche, the impact of defense ignore, it is also higher. So there's a little bit of trade-off when it comes to which one is more niche and which one is more defense ignore, right? So that is going to be that. Then pairing this up with the 2-piece Planar ornament, which is going to be the Forge of the Kalpagni Lantern. I have no idea what this is. Law enjoys can let me know. Increase the wearer speed by 6%, and if we hit a target fire weakness, break effect increased by 40%, lasting for 1 turn. It is pretty much, let's just be real, this is pretty much tailor-made for Firefly, right? It is like, it doesn't get any more obvious that this is tailor-made for Firefly. Speed, break effect, fire weakness, it is pretty much just perfect, right? So we are gonna get into this a little bit more later on, but basically, if you are going to be running Firefly, this is going to be a very good option. And keep in mind, this 40% break effect, it also adds on towards your 250%. So it makes units, not just Firefly, right? Maybe if you want to run Boothill, if you want to run any sort of break DPS, this 40% break, it can also contribute. So if they do have fire weakness, then you can also benefit, and it makes the 250% benchmark a lot easier, right? So as long as you hit the target, you will get the 40%. So if you are against the traffic light, if you are against monkey, whatever, which but you need to make sure that they do have the fire weakness. If they don't have fire weakness, you can't hit. But if they have the traffic light, you'll still get a 40% break effect, right? So that's gonna be that. Comparing this with the Kingdom of Banditry, which is the old 2-piece it is 3.3 substats because it is a 6% speed and 4% break effect, right? So it is worth 3.3 more substats compared to the Kingdom of Battle Tree, right? So something to keep in mind. Alright, so TLDR, more niche, but more defense ignore. Then the Wind-Soaring Valorous. This relic set, I'm gonna keep it about. It is really not a... It is not an insane piece, right? 2-piece attack plus 4%, 4-piece crit rate by 6%, and ultimate damage 36%, buff for 1 turn whenever wearies fall apart. So we're gonna get into this later, but TLDR, this is really is a bit of a warm bomb situation, right? Yeah, so the reason why this is a bit of a warm bomb situation is because at a glance, you know, 12% attack, 6% crit is pretty decent, and you have a 36% ultimate damage. But if you were to take a look at how this works in battle, you'll notice that a lot of our follow-up units now, they can't really benefit a lot from this 4-piece. Because it is ultimate damage increase, and it is only for 1 turn. So for our notable follow-up attackers, such as Dr. Ratio, such as Topaz, such as Clara, right? Yeah, but basically, this piece, there really isn't anyone that can truly benefit from the ultimate damage increase. So for example, if you want to give it to Blade, because Blade, he has a follow-up, he benefits from crit rate, and technically the ultimate damage is pretty good, the attack is completely useless on him. So unfortunately, it's not that great. And also, Longiver's 4-piece, crit rate buff, HP, it just synergizes a little bit more with Blade, right? So Blade, not that great. Then if you take a look at all of our follow-up units, right, our ultimate damage composition is very, very low. Dr. Ratio's ultimate is not that great, right? Most of the damage is coming from his follow-up talents. Topaz and Clara, their ultimate straight up just does nothing. It is a buff. So the 36% ultimate damage is completely useless. Berta and Kimiko, they need more follow-up attack instead of the ultimate damage as well, right? Because the follow-up also has a higher composition out of the total. So it comes down to a very weird spot where the real units that can benefit from ultimate damage is pretty much just Aircon. Because Aircon right now is the only unit in the game where we can have our 1-turn ultimate, and the ultimate multiplier is incredibly high. But Aircon has no follow-up attacks. So she couldn't even benefit from this 4-piece at all. So this could have been a decent piece for Aircon, except that she can't even proc it. So right now, no one can make use of this this piece. It is like, we have to wait and see if in the future MiHoYo releases more units. But for now, maybe Jade can use it, but it is all up to theoretical speculation, right? So it's a bit of an unfortunate situation, right? So yeah, that's basically it. Lena said, Duran, Dynasty of Running Wolves. 2-piece, when an ally uses follow-up attacks, wearer receives 1 stack of merit, stacking up to 5 times. Every stack increased follow-up attack by 5%, which is going to be 25%. And when there are 5 stacks, additionally increase wearer's crit damage by 25%. This set is really, 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 really good. Because it is when any ally uses a follow-up attack, the wearer will receive 1 stack. It is quite literally tailor-made for pretty much our follow-up team comp. 25% damage dealt and 25% crit damage. So this 2-piece is really, really, it's a considerable upgrade compared to your Salsatto, or even compared to Inazuma when you're running a Dr. Ratio and Topaz together, right? So honestly, a really, really good set. Really good set, right? So I believe this is gonna be in contrast to Salsatto, which is gonna be 8% crit rate as well as 15% ultimate and follow-up damage increase. We have a additional 9% crit damage and 10% damage percentage, right? Because this is 25%, this is only 15%, which is roughly equivalent to 4 substats. It is roughly equivalent to 4 effective substats. In general, the new Lena's 2-piece, they seem to outperform the old Planar 2-piece in every shape possible, right? So the Forge of Kalpagni Lantern, it outperforms Talia because it has additional speed and it has additional break effect. And Duran, it outperforms Salsatto because it has more damage percentage and it has more crit damage. So when it comes to value, the Planar set seems to hold more inherent value, but there is one catch, which is it has a little bit more restrictions. So for example, your Duran, you really need your allies to use follow-up attacks. Otherwise, it's gonna stack on very, very slowly. And then if you're gonna be using Kalpagni, you have to hit someone with the fire weakness. Whereas Talia does not have this restriction, right? So it is a little bit more niche, but the effects are gonna be more pronounced compared to our old sets, right? So that's gonna be that. So it seems that TLDR, they believe that MiHoYo is starting to make more and more niche relic sets to really specialize for individual characters in Honkai Starbucks. They are kind of moving away from general sets. As you can see from the new Iron Cavalry, which is really good for Firefly, because if you want to make this work with Boothill, technically speaking, this portion is kind of useless unless you pair up with Harmony MC. So it's either niche when it comes to the unit, or it is more niche when it comes to the team comps. So that is going to be that. And then this is also, you can see you need fire weakness, so it's pretty much basically for Firefly. And then Duran is basically like a team. This is like a team comp niche. This is like a unit niche. Then this is a little bit of like a mix of both. And this is just it's just a warm set. We're just waiting to see whether this is good for Jade or like, because right now nobody uses this, right? So we are seeing that the direction that MiHoYo is going for is a more niche, more tailored relic set for our honkaistarrail units, but their effects are a little bit, not a little bit, by a decent amount, a slight upgrade compared to the old relic sets when they are a little bit more generalized, right? So that's gonna be the direction. So yeah, now let's talk numbers. So this is gonna be the part where they are gonna be showing you guys exactly how much better the new 2.3 Planar and Cavern sets are compared to our old sets, right? So using Boothill as an example, with no signature weapon and no Idolin, so this is gonna be an E0 S0 Boothill. As long as our break effect exceeds 183%, okay, let me, as long as our break effect exceeds 183%, then the benefit of the 10% defense down is going to be more impactful than the 16% break effect you will otherwise gain from like your 2+2 Thief and Watchmaker, right? So this is where your defense down will have more, and this is not factoring in any super breaks or any other forms of defense reduction, such as E1 Rame, or you're running him with like Pella or whatever. So this is strictly just 183% break effect alone. This is where the break point is when the defense down will matter more. Okay, then if you want to add on your signature light cone, which by itself also has a defense down, right? Then you only need 151% break effect for this 10% defense down to be outperforming, right? So in this sense, the 4-piece, even disregarding the super break portion, it is already outperforming your old 2+2. Right? So we don't even need to consider this, and it's already slightly performing. Then if you're gonna be stacking on to 260% break effect, which is where you want to activate the secondary effect of your 15% defense reduction, super break, and I'm assuming you are gonna be running here with Harmony MC, right? Harmony MC, Pella, right? If you do not run Harmony MC and Pella, so this is where you're not even using super break on Boothill, right? So if you don't bring HMC and Pella, it is still a 2.4% damage increase. It is still a 2.4% final damage increase without factoring in super break. So if you were to factor in super break, or if you were to factor external sources of defense reduction, doesn't have to be Pella, E1 Rame, or even E2 Sparkle, then this damage percentage increase is gonna become even more pronounced, right? So really good set, right? Which is roughly 1.7 break effect subsets. So honestly, this is where it's gonna be up to the player base. If you have made a decision of not pulling for Firefly, you are a Boothill stan, and you don't want to run him with super break, and you have already made the 2+2 from farming Watchmaker and Thief set, would you still farm the new 4-piece for a 2.4% final damage increase, or roughly 1.7 break effect subsets? So that's gonna be up to the player base, right? That's gonna be up to your discretion. But I would say this is a very niche minority, right? If you're gonna bring Harmony MC, then this effect will go up to 5.2% final damage increase, right? Because you can actually make use of the super break damage, right? So there's gonna be that. This is assuming that our talent triggers 2 times, 7.5%, all that kind of stuff. So theoretically, the way super break works is the bigger the toughness bar, the more super break damage is gonna do. So this is 5.2% raw. But if you're gonna be up against an enemy with higher toughness bar, then super break's damage is gonna be a lot higher. So it's gonna be even more than 5.2% final damage increase, right? So whether is it worth to gain a 2.4% without super break or 5.2% plus with super break for players building Boothill? That's gonna be up to you to decide, right? So that's gonna be up to you to decide. So that's gonna be for Boothill. And then going into the 2-piece Planar, which is the one with fire weakness. So for this one, let's just be real, the trigger condition for Boothill is gonna be very, very awkward, right? Because if you don't hit something with fire weakness, then the secondary effect is completely useless. So it's gonna be a little bit awkward for Boothill to use, because, you know, maybe the guy doesn't have fire weakness and he only plays with. So if that is the case, if we do hit someone with fire weakness, then it is going to be a roughly 5% final damage increase better than Talia, right? This is assuming you use Boothill against someone with fire weakness, right? So, yep, 5%. But because you want to consider that it is very difficult for Boothill to satisfy the trigger condition, then it might not be worth it to farm for this set if you're a Boothill main, because it can be very difficult to satisfy fire weakness, right? So, yep. Now, for Firefly, which is our only other 5-star super break DPS, and pretty much what, for her, 80% of where her damage is coming from, it's all from super break. And that is not even factoring in Harmony Trailblazer. So 80% of Firefly's damage is going to be coming from super break. So, and you pretty much bring her with Harmony Trailblazer anyways, because they work really, really well together, right? So the amount of super break that Firefly has is very, very high. So this is gonna be a direct upgrade to any 2+2 combinations, right? It is a direct upgrade. It is more than a 10% final damage increase. So for Boothill, it is at 5.2% with super break. For Firefly, it is 10% minimum, without even factoring in her Pella. If you're gonna be running any like Pella, E1 Ramei, E1 Firefly, that's when the defense threat will stack on even higher, right? So this is 10% raw. So it is very, very good increase compared to the old 2+2. Highly recommended, right? And then for our new 2-piece Planar, it is a roughly 4.5% damage increase compared to Talia. But for Firefly, the good thing about her is she's pretty much always gonna trigger. So it is very, very... Anyways, very, very easy to trigger to satisfy the condition, because, you know, she implants fire weakness. So this is pretty much always guaranteed to trigger, right? So if you were to pair up Firefly with your Harmony Trailblazer as well as Gallagher against an enemy target without fire weakness, they can all use the new Planar 2-piece. Because the moment Firefly implants fire weakness, that's when your entire team can benefit from this 2-piece effect, which is not something you can do with Boothill. So, in a sense, Firefly not only enables the brand new 2-piece for herself, it also enables the brand new 2-piece for all of your other like pseudo DPS, break DPS, right? Your Harmony Trailblazer as well as Gallagher, because they do, I'm not sure if you guys have seen from the Firefly early impressions, they do deal a significant amount of damage by themselves just because of how freaking ridiculously strong super break is, right? So, very, very good recommendations for you guys to farm for this if you're going to be pulling for Firefly. Alright, so this is the part where I mentioned just now. Alright, this is just basically no one really uses. The new follow-up 2-piece, if you were to use Topaz as an example, compared to Izumo, is a 4.5% final damage increase. And then if it's compared to Salsatto, it is a 6% final damage increase, right? At a raw condition. So it is a pretty decent chunk, right? 6% final damage, right? So it is quite recommended for players to swipe for this new Planar sets, right? Considering the fact that if you are going to be running Firefly, and you also play the new flop team comp, then this new Planar set does have a significant amount of value because it is a good chunk. Considering the fact that if you were to swipe for Salsatto, Bellerbog is just a completely useless 2-piece, right? So Salsatto farmers, rejoice, because you guys can finally be free from farming Salsatto, and you guys can farm for this new 2-piece and actually improve both your follow-up team as well as your Firefly team. Insane, right? For Doctor ratio, the final damage increase is roughly the same, but not as high as Topaz, because Topaz has a higher portion, because every single thing Topaz does is follow-up attack, right? Whereas for Doctor ratio, a little bit is from the ultimate, so maybe not as high, but fundamentally it's still roughly around the same. Then is a 1.8% damage increase from Izumo, but TLDR, Doctor ratio's benefit is not as high as Topaz. So if you have a good Izumo set, you don't really have to swipe for both. So as long as you farm one good set, you can slap on the Topaz. Then for Doctor ratio, it's only like a 1.8%, 2% increase. So if you want to run Izumo, you can still give it to Doctor ratio. If you have a insane amount of God tier luck and you manage to get 2 different sets, you can give it to Doctor ratio. But between both, the new set will be recommended to give it to Topaz instead, right? Okay, cool. For Herta and Himeko, there's not big of a increase compared to Sigonia set if you're going to be running them in pure fiction. So if you're a pure fiction main and you're running Herta Himeko, then this is pretty much the same. There's not much of a improvement compared to the Sigonia set. So it is roughly around the same. If you are going to be using Sigonia and you have a good enough Sigonia, then you don't really need to farm the new set for them, right? So in conclusion, the new 4-piece, the break 4-piece, it is must build for Firefly. Yeah, you have to farm this because it is a significant damage increase for Firefly compared to the old 2+2, right? So B-swap, very good increase. For Boothill, Yong is like alright, it's alright, but you don't really have to if you don't want to. But if you're gonna be running both, then you might as well just swipe for it, right? Just farm for it, right? That being said, this is really not that good of a 4-piece. Because at the moment, no one can mix of it. The 2-piece is not too bad, right? 12% attack. You could use this as like a rainbow. You could give it to Tingyuan or whatever kind of stuff. Maybe even DOT if you don't even have like a 4-piece DOT. So the 2-piece is not too bad. But the 4-piece at this current point, it is not that great. Maybe Jade can make use of this, but we have no idea. Or maybe in the future, MiHoYo could release some ultimate unit that also has follow-up, like imagine an Aircron but with follow-up attack, right? So for now, this is not that great. So it is like a poor quality byproduct, right? This is gonna be the main catch, because if you guys are really fond of Firefly, this is gonna be really good for Firefly as well as Boothill, right? So at the end of the day, if you're farming for Firefly, you kind of have to just pull for this, right? The 2 new Planar sets, objectively speaking, they hold more value compared to the 4-piece, because both of these 2 Planar sets, they benefit Firefly and they also benefit your follow-up units. So if you're talking about like worth, since both of these 2 sets can be given to both IPC follow-up and your Super Break Firefly Boothill, it would be recommended to farm your 2-piece first if you're not in a desperate need. Because when it comes to stamina efficiency, it is always a better choice to farm for a domain that you can make use of both sets, instead of farming for a domain that you can only make use of one set, because that is taking like 50% efficient, right? So for players that are in a rush, this will technically hold more inherent value, right? Then for this is gonna be right. So that is pretty much it. Yeah, if you want to engage in further discussion, on the Discord, discord.gg for spooky, active comment on honkaistarrail and whatever on daily basis. Want to comment, twitch.tv for YouTube comments. I'll stream every day. Channel on Discord. So that's all I have for today. All the best for your Firefly. All the best for your run Maples, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.